5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, my name is Adondi,
My name is Daniela.
My name is Giselle.
I'm Bergeline.
And I'm Markayla.
and we will be presenting today on human trafficking. So our research question is, how does being economically disadvantaged disproportionately affect the rates of human trafficking around the world? Human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or the UNODC, it has been reported that people are being trafficked in around 127 countries and exploited in around 137 countries, impacting every continent and every type of economy. Medically, human trafficking inflicts its victims with an array of physical, psychological, and sexual health issues. These include, but are not limited to, STDs, HIVs, cuts and bruises, depression, anxiety, or PTSD, stomach aches, headaches, and or back pain. The problem with these people who are economically disadvantaged is, in these third world countries, they don't have the access to proper medical facilities, the proper health teams, or medications to treat them for these problems.
Futuristic illegal. Victims of human trafficking lead to mental health problems due to they're still scarred of what happened to them, and they also struggle in self-identity and many more other things. Which they also have help by the government, and they have employment law and public benefits, which access them with helping with money, which is good for the people who doesn't have money right now. And then there's a family law who has protection or restraining order, and civil legalization that helps them having own laws.
Economy. The human trafficking industry is believed to earn an outstanding $150 billion annually, with the majority of this revenue from sex trafficking. This same number comes up repeatedly in human trafficking statistics. But where is this $150 billion going? And more importantly, how is the crime of human trafficking affecting the world economy? In a report by the International Labor Organization, the $150 billion lines the pocket of trafficking and fraudulent employees, which serves as a middleman who produce the victims, provide transportation and fake documents, and who also get a cut of the profit. To put it in perspective, traffickers can make anywhere from $4,000 to $50,000 per trafficked person, depending on the victim's place of origin and destination.
So, your cultural aspects can also be a barrier keeping victims from accessing help. For instance, in Morgan Weissmer research, who was a student at Chicago City Colleges, people coming from different parts of the world, such as Venezuela, Haiti, and even the United States, are desperate for jobs. These people who are looking for jobs actually sign contracts to these traffickers, and these traffickers typically traffic people in hotels, motels, bars, clubs, etc. But also, these contracts can sometimes be bewitched by voodoo. Voodoo is a practice of witchery, basically. And if these victims break their contract, then the voodoo will basically hurt either their family or either themselves.
Political and social. The coverage of human trafficking in the print media has grown steadily since the early 2000s. Based on human trafficking has been seen in the media and portrayed as something very simple and laid back. So throughout the years, we've seen TV shows, movies, books written about human trafficking where they take a glimpse into the life of a person that has been trafficked, or the idea of somebody getting trafficked. Some shows show the victim as a white female or a white person being hurt or trafficked by a person of color or a minority. And over time, the use of the simplification of human trafficking has led to the government and the people both not paying as much attention as they should to the situation that we have in place. There's testaments of people who have been victims, For example, according to Lee, which is a name that she uses for safety, she states, I was trafficked to the UK 2 years ago from China. I tried to escape from my aunt, who had kept me as a prostitute after my parents died when I was 13. This shows that it doesn't just have to be somebody that you wouldn't know. You can expect it from anybody. She was trafficked in this example, she was trafficked by her own aunt after her parents died. So it shows that it could be anybody. And then in a research by Osita, done in Nigeria, the lucrative business is used by exploiting poverty and low status of women. So it shows that when people don't have enough resources, or like in the question, disproportionately disadvantaged, they're more likely to be targeted by human traffickers or by the government.
The detrimental effect human trafficking has on the global economy is the loss of remittances. Remittances is sending things such as gift or funds to a family abroad, whether as a wedding gift or contributing towards bills back home. Since people who are trafficked are sometimes either denied wages or told they have a sizable debt to the traffickers that must be paid back, lack of remittance can have a devastating impact on countries such as Zimbabwe, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Moldova, and the Philippines, where 23% to 40% of the population depends on receiving money from abroad.
Some of the ideas that we had for prevention were applying and enforcing stricter rules in areas like transportation and jobs, not just in the United States, but throughout the world, since we do see human trafficking cases all over the place. Another thing that we had planned was being able to keep track of young ones, especially since they are being targeted for sexual work or just exploitation. So being able to track them and know where they are could help us. So using tracking devices on kids, on watches, phones, or jewelry. Some of our solutions were creating jobs in the poorest regions. As we can see, when people are in need of jobs and stuff like that, they're willing to go through any length to get money to the house and food on the table for their kids. So being able to assist them getting jobs can prevent and help minimize human trafficking. Again, better regulations and laws, that include everyone. So making sure that everybody is being employed fairly, and that these contracts aren't exploiting them in the long run. We also had the idea of tracking devices and jewelry. Some of the limitations were the lack of education. So if you don't have enough education, you might not be able to get jobs that you're being provided with, or the lack of government support. So them not working for the people or with the people can impact the rate of human trafficking, because it just lets it continue growing instead of minimizing it. And then the invasion of privacy. We do understand that tracking devices might not be the best solution, but it might just be the answer to one or two problems.
Thank you.
All right. Bergeline, how did the group decide to include Danielle's perspective, or her lens or conclusion into the overall presentation?
Since the human trafficking is growing globally as an issue, so we decided to come up, look from every lenses as possible, especially hers, in order for us to come up with a solution that could at least help us with the society.
Thank you. Danielle, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that your group identified?
I believe that Bergeline's work, her lens in economics, really impacted the understanding of how big human trafficking really is, because it comes in using numbers and just statistics of how much money is really being brought in because of human trafficking.
Thank you. Adandi, if you had another team member, what other perspectives or limitations could they have researched that would have made a useful contribution to the project?
If we had another team member, a limitation that they could have researched is like how well what we implement would really affect rates of human trafficking. As is the illegal nature of human trafficking, you can't really regulate it to a certain point, because if they're going to do something illegal, they're going to do it no matter what.
Thank you. Giselle, give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Markela's findings.
By learning by Markela's findings, I found out everybody goes into different ways to try to get money to help and support their families, and when they do that, they are not really sure on what they're getting into it, and it affects them later on in the future.
Thank you. And finally, Markela, what is the way in which your team's resolution made you think differently about your own individual research?
Well, first of all, my research was about cultural, so I really only focused on how they're getting into the situations and how nobody's really helping them, or why they didn't just run away in the first place. But with the solutions that we came up with, now I can see why people aren't really being able to find their loved ones, or why people are getting into these situations in the first place.
Okay, thanks guys.